Okay, so we were starting with this video that I found that's from Russia, and we're trying to put our student in there. Now, I had some major problems with it that you can actually go through and adjust, but I felt it was also wise to try and be smart, right? Just work smarter, not harder. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. Most of the time you have to work smart and hard. That's okay. So what I did is I found a better place in the video where he's moving the camera a little less often. So there's this spot right around here. Let's see if my video clip is done copying. It is. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, there it goes. So let me reconnect this. So I'm just going to reconnect this video here, if it lets me. There we go. So let's reconnect media, locate, and I put this in. So I also reshot my video so that she's walking in and then walking out. And that, I think, was really important for me to be able to do, because it allows me to have this finality to it. So she comes in, she shoots her video, and she walks out of the clip. And so that also lets me be finished, and hopefully finished in this certain amount of time where I can do my motion matching and all that sort of stuff. So then what I did is I used the blade tool. I'll show you what I did here. So I put her there, and in order to send this to motion, I didn't want to send the whole clip to motion because it's pretty long, right? I only need to send a small amount when she comes in and when she walks out. So if you go here, there it pops in. You see her walk in and walk out. And I just did the green screen really quickly to kind of make sure that everything was working and looked okay, because you have to redo the green screen once you get into motion. So I used the razor blade tool, which is over here, and I used it with snapping turned on to cut, okay, at the beginning and the ending of my background track, my background video, so that it matched up with the foreground video. And then that way I only have to send these two tracks to motion. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so now let's send these to motion, and I'll start a new motion file, and then we'll switch to the one that I've been working on recently. So send to motion project, and we'll call this green screen demo instead of test. And as usual, I'm going to uncheck embed motion so that that is not there. That means I'm going to have to re-import my motion file, but that's okay. Save. All right, now we wait for motion to open. Which can take a little while depending upon all the sources that it's gathering together and all that other good stuff. Now I figured a much better way of doing this than what I showed you before. It's a little bit of a longer step process. It actually uses 2 stages to do the motion tracking, and then even then it's not perfect, but we'll get there. Okay, and I'll show you how we'll get there in just a second. So, come on, motion, do your thing. Let's go. Oh, it was still copying a file. I hope that wasn't messing up my video recording. All right, so here's our video. It comes in, and I'm going to hit my timing tab and my project tab here, and then I'm going to go Command minus to zoom out just a little bit so that I can fit my video screen into what I've got here. I don't even really need the project tab that much. But I like to have it open just because as it starts getting a little more complicated here, which it's going to, and we're going to do this in multiple stages and multiple stage demos, it'll get easier. So the first thing we need to do, obviously, is throw a green screen filter on here. So I'm going to move it forward a little bit so I can actually see her. And our wall is still not perfect. We still need some more lighting coming in from the bottom to make it perfectly even. But believe it or not, this is actually this is good enough. So we're going to go to the library, and we're going to go to our filters, and we're going to go to our keying, And there's a Primat RT, which seems to be the thing that works the best here. So I'm going to open up my group that's at the bottom, and I'm going to drag that onto the video clip that's here. Now you could drag it to the group itself, but I actually want to drag it onto the video clip because I don't want the green screen to be on everything, because as you're going to find out, we're going to have to do some other stuff here to make this look good. So I'm just going to take that Primat RT, drag it on here, and boom. It does a really good job right away. I mean, I really didn't have to do much at all. You can see that there's still like a red halo around her, and there's some green coloring in her hair. That's normal stuff that we're going to get rid of post. But it looks pretty good. Now, one of the things you can do is turn on your HUD, and having Primat selected, you can kind of play with these sliders. So noise removal. As I do that, you can see how that red cast kind of goes away in the corners a little bit, okay? Matte density, okay, changes the density of the matte. You can see it starts going see-through in certain places, so we want it pretty much at 0. And then spill suppression, what that will do, see if I can zoom in here on the video clip for you. Okay, spill suppression kind of crops out the red a little bit, but it also adds some green. So, you know, it's trying to adjust for the green, the reflective green that it knows is going to be there when you have somebody walking up to a green screen. There's going to be green reflected in her hair and on her skin. That's normal. You can also get rid of that green with color balancing filters and stuff like that. So we're not going to worry about that too much. But I'm just going to kind of slide that around until I see, you know, about what I like, at least as neutral as possible. So that looks pretty good. Okay, it really does. And we can just test it. Obviously, she's not moving around with the camera yet. And then she walks out of the picture. So this helps a lot. Now, we're going to have to deal with this. Definitely. And she's in the wrong position. Right now it looks like she's going to walk right through this, or it also looks like she's supposed to be on this side of the barricade with us, in which case she needs to be a lot bigger. So what we're going to do is make sure you've got the little selection tool here. We're going to move her over, and we're going to scale her down. And what I'm going to do when I do that is make sure I just like to close the group and make sure that I'm just scaling the whole group down. And when I scale, I hit Shift, and Option allows me to kind of scale it down a little bit. And we'll put her right about there. Let's just see how that looks. All right, so now she looks like she's about in the right place, doesn't she? Obviously, we need to take care of our floor, but that looks about right, at least for the beginning clip. So there she comes in. That looks pretty good, maybe even a little bit more off to the right here. But we got to be real careful. We can't lose her leg, like we can't see that we have to make sure that her legs here, the calf, is going to end up being covered by the concrete median, all right, or else it'll be very obvious that we chopped her legs off in the video clip, and then that will look really bad. So we want to, you know, be judicious about that. See, that's bad. See, we can see the corner there, so we need to move down a little bit here. There, that'll work. Okay. So now we've got the positioning set up. It looks about right. He's moving around a lot, so it's really hard to tell. But she looks pretty good. And we don't have anyone else in the shot right now, so scale isn't as important. If there was another person standing right here, then the scale would be super important, right? You'd have to get it exact. But here, you know, it can be off by a little bit, and we're not going to know. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is the motion matching. Now, we're going to worry about getting rid of all this extra stuff later on, okay? Right now, we need to analyze our motion and get the motion to look really good. So here's what you do. You go down to your first group, which is your background video. We're going to open that up, and you're going to see the source video right there. You're going to go to your behaviors up in the library. So you click Library, Behaviors, and then you go to Motion Tracking. There is a filter here that says Analyze Motion. And you see a little preview of it, which is kind of cool. It shows you a good preview of what's happening, so that you could do something, replace the guy's head, whatever. Okay, and we can do that. Here we're trying to analyze the motion so that we can basically transpose the motion to her layer 2. So we're going to drag this analyzed motion down onto the video clip, and then we need to go to our inspector for all of our options. So we're going to click inspector, and now we have trackers. So if you can see right here in the center, we've got a tracker. It's this little crosshairs in a circle. I'm going to turn off the overlying thing here. And what we're looking for, we want to choose our trackers very, very carefully and very wisely. What we're looking for is areas of super high contrast that the computer can follow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this tracker to an area where there's a lot of contrast. And you can see over here there's another preview. And I'm going to just drag it around until that crosshairs is right on that area of high contrast. Right there. That looks good. Okay? Actually, it might even be better here. Then what we're going to do is we're not going to leave the job to just one tracker. In fact, what I found is it's good in homemade video like this, it's good to have anywhere from 12 to 20. And out of that, guess how many I got that were usable? 3. Yeah. So it's good to add some trackers. So we're going to add another tracker, and add another tracker, and then this one, there's some nice high contrast stuff happening over here. Moderately high contrast stuff, so we'll put that, let's say, well, that's a good point right there. Let's add another tracker. And they always start right in the center, so it's nice and easy to find them. And then again, you can go in and you can refine them by clicking on the left here. So let me select that one. Yeah, see, I should have refined that one there too. And let's add another one. Now, I don't want to put it on something that I know is going to be changing dramatically over time, because it's going to mess it up in this case. So I should not have it anywhere near this fire, because the fire is moving like crazy. So we'll bring this down. That's a good place right there. There's some high contrast. Okay, add another one. Let's put it down here on the road and see what happens there. Those white dots are really high contrast. That's good. When they do this in Hollywood, they'll use little white dots that they put on the wall, little crosshairs. They'll actually put them on the ground. That's not the most high contrast, but it might work. So I'm going to, and I just literally do a whole spread. So that's high contrast right there. And I'm just going to keep working on getting these things nearby. Now the problem happens when you have to start refining them. So we'll try some up here. That's a nice high contrast white area right there. Let's do another one. How about up here? It's another high contrast area. And I'm just literally covering this with as much high contrast areas as I can in the hopes that I need at least 3 of them. I need at least 3 to work. And like I said last time, I did a ton of them, and guess what? I only got 3, but I got 3. Actually, sometimes you only need 2. So it depends on the kind of tracking that you want to do. But let's just add a couple more here, and then we'll watch it go. So I've got a few of these here. I've done some hard work choosing my trackers. Now let me say another thing. When you add a tracker, you can hold the Option key down as you start to drag it. And you see all these are suggested places to put your tracker, these little pluses. You see them all? Okay. I found that they're absolutely and completely useless. That I'm better off trying to choose them myself. Because it sometimes it does a good job of choosing them, and sometimes it does a horrible job of choosing them. So I'm just going to choose a couple more here, and then we'll let it do its job. So another benefit to using a different time here was, if you remember this video clip, in the beginning when we were working on it originally, there were trucks right here. They backed up and out of the way because of the fire. that was great because this is one of my best areas for tracking right here, these high contrast lines. So it was very smart of me to be using these areas. And let's try that. But I don't know, that one could be really suspect because it's near the fire, and when stuff explodes, it'll come into the sensing area here and it might mess it up. But anyway, so let's just say we got a decent look here. We got a good start. I don't think that's going to work very well, but let's put it. I didn't try one up there yet. So yeah. So now ready? Once you're ready, you can start to analyze the motion. This can take a long time. But first, before we do that, there's some options here that will help us. One, auto zoom mode. It's zooming in and it's looking for contrast or edge or normal. And I think the normal is like a hybrid where it does both. I usually leave it on normal. You can try contrast, see if that works better. A lot of times you'll do a motion track and then you'll reject it and you'll start all over again. So before we actually hit the Analyze button, which is up here, we're going to save this again as a separate file. So you actually end up having like 3 or 4 motion files before you do this because it's good. The other thing here, this is a key one, look ahead frames. It's going to look ahead in the video to see what your point is doing. You can go up to 10 frames. This will dramatically slow down your tracking. Default is 3. 5 to 10 usually works a little bit better, so we're good to go. So before I hit my Analyze motion, I'm going to save as, and I'm going to use this green screen demo, and I'm going to say targets selected. So I know that I have selected my Analyze targets, my motion targets. Once that's saved, we're going to hit the Analyze button and see what it does. And now we wait. It's not necessarily the nicest thing to do, but at the same, I shouldn't say nicest, it's not the most exciting thing to do, but we wait. Sometimes a motion track can take an hour. Usually not. If you've got a shorter clip, it's not too bad. As you increase the number of points, it definitely increases the amount of time that it takes. However, increasing the number of trackers increases your chances of success. The other thing that increases your chances of success are using a better background video. But sometimes you want to do something like this, and so you've got to work it out. So far, so good. Now, as he starts to move the camera really badly here, like really violently, some of the trackers are going to go off the frame and die. I mean, they literally just kind of stop working. And so that was where I just didn't realize that anything on the left side of the screen, not really going to help me out much. So in hindsight, all these trackers that I placed over here, they're useless. And you can see some of them are starting to wander on their own now. And they'll do that. They're trying to reacquire the thing and they don't know. And so this one's just going to go off the page. And they start doing stuff like that. It's really frustrating. Notice this one here is now wandering up the concrete barrier and so on and so forth. That one's gone. It's off already. Okay. And then what will happen is once it's done finishing the analyzation, it will give you a big fat X and it will say, nope, you lose. This one's not worth it. And so then what I do is after the analyzation is done, I go through and any tracks that basically didn't give me what I needed or are really far off, I just remove them. And so I do the process of elimination and get rid of the ones that aren't working for me. So we're just let's just wait and we'll see how this goes along here, and it shouldn't take too long, and we'll come back in just a minute to it. Okay, so we're almost done here. Let's just take a second, and then we'll look at it, and then we'll do stage 2 tomorrow, which is refining and choosing our points. Well, we may be able to choose some of our points today. So here we go, almost done, just about 5 more frames. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Okay, so we've got a motion tracker. Solution, no, yeah, oh, crash, thanks. Yeah, that would be great. All right, so now notice that a lot of these guys have these little X's on them, okay? Most of them have X's on them, right? So what you're going to see is they're just trash. What you need to do is I just turned all the trackers off, which this computer does not like that. And then I go through them one at a time. And any trackers that had an X on it, now it's not to say you couldn't use a tracker that has an X on it. You can use the partial data, but I don't want to. So what I did is I just go through and I just got rid of them all. And it also is easier in the computer. Once you turn them all off, it's easier to see what's going on. Almost there. Come on, come on. So you can see here, I mean, look at, I don't have a single one so far that worked. So let's try track 2. Nope. Track 3. Track 3 is solid. So we're going to keep track 3 on. Track 4. Track 4 died. Track 5. Track 5 died. Track 6. Track 6 died. Track 7. Oh, track 7 stayed around, so we'll keep track 7 there. Looks like it went off a little bit. It should be down here, but we can adjust that. Now track 8 died. I was afraid track 8 would die. Remember, that was the one that I put on the car's bumper, and I'm sure that the explosions killed that one. Track 9 looks like it's stuck around. 10 died. Yeah, it might have. We'll decide that in a little. I'm just looking for the ones with X's right now. A lot of the ones that they were just kind of going on their own, they ended up going off frame, and they usually had an X too. Ooh, track 13 looks like it's still around too, although I don't know. Well, we'll see how that one goes. Track 14 also. Track 15 stuck around. 16 died. '17 looks like it. Nope, 17 died. The X came in. 18 died. Oh, 19. Nope, 19 died. There's a big X there. And 20. All right, so my next thing is I'm going to go in. I'm going to remove all these tracks just by clicking the remove button. Okay? And once I go through and I remove all the ones that worked, then tomorrow I'm going to show you how we apply the motion to the track and how we refine it. And then once we refine it, it'll actually start to look really good really fast. Okay? So it's a multi-stage process, but we'll get there.